Hi, my name is Paul Corrigan. I work for the U.S. Forest Service, Intermountain Region. I am a smoke coordinator. This region covers Utah, Nevada, southern Idaho, and parts of California and Wyoming. My duties include acting as a liaison between the wildland fire management community and the air quality community. So this especially includes working with partners such as regulators at the state, local, and county levels and tribal level. My background is that I have a degree in forestry, and I've worked for land management agencies in Utah since 2002. A couple of the other really key parts of my job are leveraging new technology to predict, observe, and forecast smoke impacts, and also supporting our national forests, including implementing the U.S. Forest Service's wildfire crisis strategy, a big component of which is increased investment in hazardous fuels reduction, especially prescribed fire. So 2023 was a relatively quiet year for wildfires in the western US, but Canada's massive wildfire season had enormous impacts on air quality, not just in the west here, but in the Midwest and up and down the East Coast. So this brought a lot of attention to the challenge of forecasting smoke from wildfires. I do a certain amount of this in the summertime, and we have a number of computer models that can help guide your intuition, but it is still very much an art as much as a science, relying on your experience, because you're trying to make predictions about something that's incredibly dynamic, not just the atmosphere, but also what will happen in the fire environment. Will the fire grow? Will the firefighters be successful at putting it out? All of the above. So can influence the way you would predict the quantity of smoke and where it's going to go and how thick it'll be. Two of the smoke models that you might be able to find out there are called HRR smoke, HRRR, that's high resolution rapid refresh, and the Blue Sky framework. They both use essentially a persistence approach to seed tomorrow's atmosphere with a certain amount of smoke based on what happened with wildfires today. So there could be better approaches to that. So the challenge that our current suite of tools face is that they need not just a best possible weather forecast, but they're also trying to simulate a dynamic interaction between the fire and the environment. So the way they approach this challenge now is to use a persistence approach, essentially seeding tomorrow's weather with today's fire activity, but there could be better approaches to doing this. So next I'm going to talk about community resilience and health impacts. If you're aware of how air quality is going to be changing in your community, you can take actions to protect yourself. But we don't always know how effective messaging is from the government or through other channels within the community, getting people to change their behavior and do those protective measures. So, for example, with wildfire smoke, recommended mitigations include staying indoors, ensuring your indoor air is as clean as possible. If you have to go outside, potentially using an N95 mask when smoke concentrations reach a certain level. And so there's a number of social and technical things that have to line up to get this to actually work for people, right? They need to have a high quality HVAC system if your indoor air is indeed going to be cleaner than the outdoor air. People need to be checking because air quality can change rapidly throughout the day. So there needs to be a communication system and a place for people to understand what the air quality is in their local community. And yeah, there's economic barriers and accessibility challenges for a lot of these tools and mitigations as well. So we've seen a trend in the Mountain West where wintertime air pollution episodes are becoming shorter and less severe, while summertime air pollution episodes are becoming longer and more severe. It's important that communities are aware of this trend, and we need to improve the support available for those who are most vulnerable. And this is really getting at a concept called smoke ready. So I'll share some resources that flesh that out a little bit better. Well, we have a tool called the Fire and Smoke Map, and this leverages citizen-owned sensors to complement the existing air quality monitoring network. So it gives people much greater spatial resolution and more localized information that they can use to make health decisions for themselves. But we're not always confident that people are referring to this or interpreting it in the right way. So some social science would be awesome to try and dig in and make sure that it is being used. And we're always trying to figure out how that tool might be evolved to be more effective or to reach a wider audience. Air quality alerts are issued usually at the request of regulators, and the language and terms with which we communicate air quality impacts are really not as well developed or as well understood as a standard weather forecast. So for example, to say tomorrow afternoon there will be a 30% chance of showers, that carries a lot of information, and it's generally broadly understood by most of the public. Whereas if we simply say AQI is forecast to be orange tomorrow or unhealthy for sensitive groups, that's harder for a lot of people to digest. What do I do? Do I bring my umbrella? That doesn't answer that type of question. So I think we could really benefit from a little more rigorous understanding of what are the best terms to use and how they can convey more information and be more succinct. So as a society, we have recognized and tackled air quality problems in the past. The Clean Air Act came out in the 1970s. It's been a rousing success. In the 21st century, though, we've seen wildfires on an upward trend. The challenges associated with that in terms of air quality are enormous, and so we're developing solutions as we go, trying out different things, and I know that many of them are out there that haven't been thought of yet. So I'm super excited to see what will be coming down the pipe in terms of helping our society deal with smoke impacts. And some of it is going to be protective, where rather than thinking that these impacts won't be there, it's more how can we build communities that are resilient to them, ready to experience smoke and not experience negative health effects because of it.